We're back. Long Run Archives, number 37, joined by friends, colleagues, Brett Hornig, Jeff Colt. Brett, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing good. I'm just writing in my notes right now that it's episode 37 because the last few episodes, I was like, I don't know what number we're on. And I just like to keep track. So good to be here. 37 episodes. That's good to be a pretty big number.
I'm actually tempted to go back and listen to the first just to see what our talk track was. Do you remember any of it?
Yeah, I actually do. Because it was that. No, it's just, it was the first one. The biggest thing that I think we hung up on for like 3/4 of the episode was just various what ifs.
Yes.
We're like, what if Magda enters the sport 4 years earlier? What if Jim doesn't miss that turn? Does he just win Western States? Be like, see, trail's easy, and then just moves on to something else. I remember we had just a bunch of those.
Dude, the funniest thing, and we probably recycled a lot of it because I was talking with Jeff the other day and I thought I was having like a totally novel conversation. And then Jeff just like sent me the transcript of our first ever podcast together like 4 years ago. Like, dude, nothing has changed.
Yeah, literally we covered like almost all of the same things.
Dude.
We like went on a run and got coffee together. And then afterwards I was like, you know, how much have I changed in the last 4 years or whatnot? Like I went back and listened to Finn had me on as like the Chasing Gold series after Black Canyon and listened to this episode. And I was like, all right, actually, I think I've stayed pretty true to myself. And Finn and I have been having the same conversation for 4 years.
That's what I love about trail running podcasts. We get older, but the topics stay the same.
Okay, with that in mind, we're doing something slightly new this episode. There are a couple of reels that we're going to highlight, and I want to bring the audience into it. So first topic is Charlie Lawrence, who is the current, I believe, 100K American record holder at the Road 100K or Track 100K. He has been goaded into doing a backyard ultra. I'm going to play the reel here for you guys right now.
This video is for Charlie Lawrence. Recently on a podcast, you made the following statement.
I think like a backyard ultra. Again, this is me like not trying to come off arrogant, but I think I could go get a world record in that. Do I want to?
Where do you think you could go?
I'm gonna go 500 plus miles. I mean, dude, it's
Gosh.
I mean,
How much do I, name the check. How much do I have to write to see you give this a crack?
I probably look at halfway to 6 figures.
Okay, sure. I challenge you to a 1v1 backyard ultra, winner take all. I don't need money to show up, but if you do, I bet there's a way we could figure that out.
Okay. React in any which way you desire, Brett.
Dude, well, Mountain Outpost can put it on and we can crowdfund this prize purse.
Easy.
For one. You know, maybe even get a couple like brand sponsors to pony up some matches. Also, Charlie's he's not breaking the world record in the backyard ultra. Like, does he even know the rules of a backyard ultra? Because
okay,
like, I could run
devil's
500
advocate for you, Brett.
Yeah,
I think Charlie Lawrence probably feeds off of that type of doubt. And like, if you really want him to do it, like keep saying that he couldn't do it.
okay, he can't do it.
Yeah. Charlie's a super
I'll throw it
impressive
in.
runner,
You can't do
right?
it. You can't do it.
There we go. I think he's a super impressive runner. I think that's not necessarily giving respect to that discipline of like the backyard ultra discipline. I agree. I think it's like surprisingly challenging.
It's a whole
event.
different sport.
Yeah. And I still think it's one where like the needle can be moved. And what I love about it is it's like a discipline where the whole goal is to move the needle.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Charlie Lawrence is trying to pick up other, gimme world records, I don't know if that's as easy as a gimme as you might think.
No, I don't think so either. Plus, like, what so far from what we've seen in successful backyard ultra runners, like, what are the tools that they have that make them successful at it? And looking at a lot of like, one of them is not top end speed.
No, I think it's trauma, dude. I think it's childhood trauma. I think that's like the major tool you need.
Dude, my trauma is bigger than your trauma.
Yeah.
You talking about trauma?
That'll take you to 500 plus.
Mark Dowdle, he's the guy who's calling him out. I love that video.
Yeah,
I love
that was
like,
great.
oh, I just heard this shit, and like I'm just gonna go ahead and call him out right now. Like he's pretty decorated, right? Like he's kind of the holding court, in the US in a way right now.
He has a track record of backyard ultras. I believe his current personal best is 283 yards, which would take him, I think, well into day 4 or 5. So he's been deep into these things. And then he just won this race called the Arrowhead 135 out in Minnesota, where you carry a sled with all your gear behind you.
Nice.
So he's pretty. I think he's specialized. So maybe the fight card here would be. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, are you saying that you can specialize in this distance?
Well, that's the open question.
Well, that was my question. It was like,
That's
what
the
makes
open
someone
question.
good at this?
We talked a little bit about specialization in 200s. Can you be a specialist in the 200? And I think the answer there was like, not really. But maybe
that's
there's
like short compared to winning a backyard ultra.
Yeah.
I think the fight card plays that up. It's like the person who has invested their career in that particular discipline versus the standout athlete who is super fast and just assumes that he can come in, blow the door down, and dominate the scene. That's the fight card right there.
Yeah. I think for the last 2 long run episodes we did together, I bit my tongue around this whole 200-mile scene because, like, quite frankly, I'm not interested in running a 200. So I don't want to like speak my mouth and say something that will end up resulting in me getting challenged to run a 200 and then having to run a 200. But Charlie Lawrence did it here. He kind of, be careful what you wish for. If you say you're going to break the world record in the backyard ultra and the big dog on campus calls you out on it, like, let's see it. I want to make this happen. I want to see this happen. I think this is stepping stones on the road to LA Olympics 2028 backyard ultra being included.
With the opening ceremony.
Yeah,
I agree. I think I would watch that. That would probably, I mean, the drama, the table's already been set. I mean, it's there, but yeah, I mean, I just don't see where like having a fast 100K gives you evidence that you can like stay awake for 5 days.
Yeah. I mean, I do not know a ton about Charlie Lawrence beyond like his posts get paid to show up in my feed, which I typically don't like paid things showing up in my feed. And he's got this, like, those Adidas shoes were so squishy. And like, I think of Charlie Lawrence and I just think of those like super Adidas shoes from the 100K, just like squishy.
Slight side tangent.
Whether or not he can.
I cannot believe how, from my point of view, how much Adidas dropped the ball on the marketing for that 100K.
Didn't we say that was going on during the Olympics or something? When was it going on again? UTMB week, right? Or it was completely lost in, I think it might have been UTMB week because like the people who would care about it, I think I was trying to make the argument, would have been the ultra distance community.
Yeah. And like they had this amazing teaser reel that like basically said we handpicked like 8 of the best 100K runners in the world that all happen to run for Adidas, and we're going to break the world record. Location, we're not telling you. Race start, we're not telling you. Like, and then it happened, and then they were like, we did it. And I was like, why couldn't I watch this? And then like, as I learned some of the details about like where it was and how they did it, I was like, this is amazing. Why didn't I get to watch this on TV? Come on, guys. Like they built a whole shoe. They had like F1, like Valtteri Bottas got to like give input on the shoe and like talk to it. I'm like, freaking Mercedes and stuff. Like what? Nothing? I was like, geez, this was an ultra
the fact
marathon.
That Tom Evans' hiking protocol got better PR post UTMB than this Adidas 100K world record, like says that it was a miss on the Adidas, side.
Yeah,
like more people know about Tom's hiking and Ruth's hiking than the Adidas 100K world record.
Yeah.
You can't spray about this. Just quietly do the work and talk about it after the fact.
They didn't even do that much talking after the fact. Like,
dude, that is a great. I totally forgot about that, Brett. That was wild.
I know, and I still don't have a pair of those shoes.
It's like
I was going to do the Buffalo run in them, you know?
when I was like 9 or 10 years old, my brother and sister, I think both qualified for Hershey Nationals, or maybe Willie did that year. And we went down. Hershey has like a huge theme park, really cool theme park, right? But you have to be 48 inches tall to ride like the really fun rides, like the Great Bear and whatnot. And at that point, I was probably like 45 inches tall. So my mom bought me a pair of these black and white platforms that were like truly like 3 inches, platform shoes. And I just had like some like long, like kind of like baggy jeans on that were, in vogue at that era. And
Dude, that's in again.
2000, 2001. And, like got to ride on all the rides because I was just over 48 inches. And those shoes, the Adidas shoes, remind me of my Hershey Park platforms.
Meanwhile, you're getting like whipped around by the roller coaster. Your feet are dangling. You're just like, both ACLs are blown. She got 5 pounds attached to each ankle.
I was made of rubber at that point in life.
Before we go to this next topic, I can't let this go unaddressed. Jeff, you hinted earlier that you didn't totally speak your piece about 200 milers.
Oh yeah, I think they're for some people, and that's great.
Okay, that's less that's less
What
chaotic than
I
thought
was
gonna be.
implying was that I didn't want to make any like grandiose statements because, quite frankly, I'm not interested in running a 200 right now. And like I look around at the scene, and like there might be a course eventually that I'm hyped on, and the time in life is right. But yeah, I said that because I do think that if you are gonna run your mouth in that way and someone calls you out on it, it's kind of like, all right, well, you set yourself up for that. Like, go get it. Let's see this 500-mile backyard ultra, dog. It's going to be sick.
Yeah,
Has
you
it
don't want
actually-
someone making an Instagram reel challenging you to cook a donut.
Has there ever been the trail running equivalent of like the Alexander Hamilton Aaron Burr duel? Has someone's honor ever been called into question?
Like a full head-to-head, like name the place, name the time,
Yeah.
go
We
for
might
it.
get into that,
So, anyways, so I'm gonna say the question and I'm gonna play the reel. But we basically we have to address this debate question, which is, are elite trail runners boring? And I'm gonna play the context here.
Elites are boring. I'm not inspired by elites in the slightest bit. And I think it's because there's this like fragile mentality of elites where they pour so much into their craft and trade that they can only accept celebration for the time and accomplishment that they received. And anything less than that is kind of an insult. And let me explain that. Elites aren't great storytellers. Like I believe they're interesting, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it's insecurity or they're just so compartmentalized. They don't share interesting stories anymore. Like they only want to get on podcasts and talk about their training and how they're, able to accomplish such, elite godly results. But yet you have somebody like, let's say, Max Jolliffe, right, who has incredibly immense talent and does things that are wildly impressive, to the rest of us amateurs as well. But he's not talent-wise there with the tip of the spear in the elites, but he resonates because he tells stories. He lets people in. He almost gets judged, right, by these elites or gatekeepers and say, he's not worthy of this attention. Why is he getting more attention than me? He's not capable of running as fast as me. And it's like, yeah, you're telling on yourself. Like it's not about how fast you're running. It's about how relatable you are and how.
Okay.
I have a question. Do elites talk shit about Max Jolliffe being like, he doesn't deserve this much attention? I've never heard anyone say that. I mean, I'm not elite. I'm friends with some runners that are pretty elite, and he's never come up in their in conversations.
I have never heard Max Jolliffe's value to the sport come under fire from elites. That's the first time I'm hearing that.
Yeah, Max also, yeah, he's super fast, right? Just ran like a 235, 234 marathon. Like,
he's a faster media guy than me.
My follow-up question was, are elites asking for more credit or attention than they get? Like, I don't know who is speaking there or where that's necessarily coming from. The gist that I was pulling from it was like, I think it's okay for elites, say, a Jim Walmsley to show some frustration that half of the ultra running community thinks David Goggins might be the best ultra runner ever. And like the imbalance there of like, there's, a group of influencers, storytellers, they've written books, they've like talking about their life's journey through running. And there is a pretty significant misconception that like David Goggins is the best ultra runner ever. Right. And like, if that's the point he's getting at, like, I don't think that's necessarily elites asking for more credit or attention. I think that's just like, hey, like, no stress or, like saying anything bad on David Goggins' name. The guy is certainly incredibly influential, but like he's not the fastest ultra runner, right? Like, so that's kind of what I was parsing out in that little bit there. But like, yeah, Max Jolliff's a great storyteller. I also like anytime there's anything on Courtney or Killian, like I watch it pretty much immediately. I think Killian's an amazing storyteller. He often gets earmarked as like, oh, but he's the exception, right? Like, I think Killian, can run all distances. And then whenever people are like, well, who's like the biggest ultra trail runner influencer? Like, and it comes back to Killian, people are like, well, actually, yeah, he is like super influential and he does a good job with all these things. So maybe he is an exception there. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I guess what does it even mean to be boring? I mean, yeah, Finn, the reel that you shared with us said like talking about training and like putting all your chips, out there, like laying them all out there for one particular race or your career, your life as a professional trail runner is boring. I don't think that's boring. Like, I've always loved following the very tippy top of all sports to see what sacrifices these athletes make in order to become like, I think that's beautiful. Like, I love
it's also scary though. Like, that's my reality check a lot. Like, I go back to some of like things Jack Kensel has said and be like, am I grounded? Am I still as someone who's like fully given themselves to like this pursuit of excellence and being the very best, like all power to him. Like, that's just not the path I'm trying to choose. And like, so when I hear the examples of, I mean, look at Jack Kensel's race logs, or training logs. They were always public in his Instagram, but Killian's are published each year as well. And I'm like, yeah, there are 22 hours a week where I'm choosing to do other things other than train for ultra running compared to these guys.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I just don't think that's boring.
The counterpart, like, are you choosing to tell your story? And like, I actively choose not to tell my life story through videos or long form or content or short form content. Really, like, there's certain things that I'm pretty happy to just keep within my own home and within my own family and like friend groups and stuff. And I don't think that makes someone necessarily like boring or is a problem with elites. There's some elites who share their stories, and there's some regular runners who share their stories, and like, more power to folks for making that decision one way or another. I'm not going to like poo-poo someone for not opening up more and talking about their trauma.
Yeah. No,
like,
I agree.
That's a decision. And if you choose to make that, that's great. But like, whoever that guy talking was, I'm choosing not to let him in, and I'm fine with that.
I think another thing too is like the like if we're talking about athletes that have sponsors, like they're running professionally, I feel like it should be a little bit too on the brands to like figure out how to properly position this athlete. Like, if they can you should like On should know who Jeff Colt is, and they're like, oh, we have this idea, and we're like, that's a perfect Jeff thing. We should work with Jeff on that. Not like, we have this documentary that we're going to make, and it's going to be Jeff talking about something that you don't want to talk about for 45 minutes. And then we're going to put this whole training montage over. It's like, I think brands could also do a little bit better job at positioning their athletes in a way that uses them for the correct style of content.
Well, I mean, that also might be the correct style of content for athletes, right? And like, you've got athletes, you've got influencers, brands are out there storyboarding and trying to find like, oh, did you hear about so-and-so? This would be an amazing story. I hear they're a huge fan of On. Like, we should see if we can work on a story with them. Excuse me. I feel like a lot of the content pieces that you see come out around professional athletes are like, I think of Tyler Andrews, and his like summit attempts. It's like, yeah, that's a Herculean feat. Makes sense for La Sportiva to try to put money into documenting him summiting Everest. That's like super cool. Is that a, think piece on Tyler Andrews, the up and comer who's never quite been in the spotlight in the way that he should be, and ran D3 instead of D1, and he's always like right there with the best? But no, it's like, that's Tyler Andrews trying to run a fucking Everest. Excuse my language.
You're excused.
I think the like, as someone who's works with a brand, like, our athletes, we're showcasing their accomplishments. We're showcasing when they ski really, really well. Stories about people with messed up feet who find success through our product. We're showcasing their story of like, this is how I got messed up feet, and this is why this product has helped me. And like, this is my story. And those stories have way more substance to them because they're meant to be more relatable. I don't know. Our athletes are always meant to be relatable. Like, I think this conversation from the get-go is like, he resonates more with the 99% of the runners instead of the 1% of the elite. Like,
That's fine.
That's the aspirational group that like, it's kind of hard to relate to that. What's relatable is like getting up every day and going and doing the damn thing. But I can't relate to running 64 in the half marathon, and I have to, line up and race that guy at some point.
All right. I've got 2 points to make. I'll make them consecutively and then maybe get your takes on them. I like the debate question because I think we're having an interesting conversation right now because of it. My first thought is, I do think it's fair to say that there has been at least somewhat of a tension between elites and influencers over the years in our sport. The example that I go to is way back in 2006, 7, 8. If you go to all of the Outside Mag archives, you'll see a very public feud between Scott Jurek and Dean Karnazes. And basically, Scott Jurek goes on the record attacking Dean and being frustrated that his profession in the sport is better compensated than Scott's. Like, Scott is out there winning Western States 6 times in a row. He is at the peak of his powers. He's beating everyone that matters in the sport. And yet, Dean is playing in that era the influencer role and has an embarrassment of riches, relatively speaking. And I do think that has played itself out in other cases between 07 and now. So I do think it's fair to acknowledge that. Actually, I'll leave it there. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, it's crazy to think about that before like the Instagram self-promotion kind of like era.
Yeah, that was like in the form of books. Which when I was in high school,
cave drawings.
Yeah, like the hieroglyphics. I read about Dean Karnazes when I was in high school. I didn't read about Scott. And as far as I was concerned, Dean was the only person humanly capable of running 100 miles plus. Everyone else would die because he was doing relay races by himself. So like, I could see where Scott's frustrations are coming from because, yeah, like people like me are like, oh, it's Dean and nobody else. I'm curious though if we were talking it back in a time when one was making a livable wage and one was not, whereas today there's more people on both sides of the ball that are making livable wages. I mean, there's still lots of people that aren't, but there's at least people running for, competitive results and influencers that are both getting paid.
The other point that I was going to make is I actually think that if we took 2 columns, in one column was pros, one was influencers, I think in a lot of cases, I'm actually taking the pro as more entertaining and interesting than the influencer. Like if we're taking the two categories, like the best of the best, like I personally think that if we had a competition, the most interesting, entertaining athlete in our sport is a pro, and it's David Roche. He's the most entertaining. the most polarizing, and he's elite. And he's a pro. Like he goes. You put him for. I put him for sure in the pro category.
Definitely.
I think
Yeah.
he would put himself in the pro category, right?
He better.
I think
he's pretty humble. You never know.
So I think he takes the cake. And then I think people like Jim Walmsley are really interesting. Rachel Entrikin, Molly Seidel, Scott Jurek. Every time we have Scott on the pod, he is the same person in 25 that he was in 07. Like he's willing to talk about anything. So maybe to me the answer here is like I think there's a bunch of elites that are interesting. Maybe this commentator is just saying like they're not interesting at scale. And if you took it in those terms, but I don't know. Like I interview these people. I'm interested. I'm maybe not asking the best questions, but I'm interested in their stories from what
I think that's what it is. You are asking the best questions. You bring the interesting out of maybe what people believe to be non-interesting people in the first place. And that is the beauty of the Single Track podcast.
No, I promise I did not mean to cue that up. Thank you, Brett. Thank you so much.
Shouts to the Single Track pod.
Thanks so much.
What a good plug right there. Like and subscribe.
I think you brought up a good point. One of the reasons like I seek out Jim is he is reserved, right? He's not putting everything out there for the world to see. And like I think the times we do get little snippets or insights into his world, into how he's thinking about things, it's really enlightening. The three of us getting to sit down with Jim before Western States this last year and like hear about
that was an amazing conversation.
Yeah. Like I'm with you. I think I think that a lot of elites are really interesting. I also will go ahead and say like I'm very grateful that it is not in my contract to do a bunch of social media stuff and to like do a bunch of reels and storytelling because like I don't have time for it. So like if that's something we're expecting of elites, that's like, I don't know. It's my goal is to focus on running and try to do it really well. I like getting to, riff with you guys from time to time, but like there are different contracts that focus more on posts and like how you're storytelling around the new drop of the Cloud Monster Hyper light spray. Like that's not being asked of me. Oh, that was it.
Yeah, should we talk for the next hour about light spray?
No, I did get it. Looks cool.
Quick thanks to Precision Hydration, the official nutrition partner of the Single Track podcast. I've said this before, but what I appreciate most about Precision is how practical their approach is. They're not trying to sell you a one-size-fits-all product. Everything starts with understanding your needs, how much you sweat, how much sodium you lose, how many carbs you actually take in per hour. That's why I keep pointing people towards Precision's Fuel and Hydration Planner. We answer a few questions about your body, your pace, the conditions you're racing in, and it gives you a clear, realistic plan that you can actually execute on race day. I've used this process in my own training and racing. It's helped me simplify decisions instead of overthinking nutrition when it matters most. If you want to check it out, head to the link in our show notes, which goes straight to the planner. And if you decide to order anything, feel free to use code SingleTrack at checkout on their site for 15% off your next order. Big thanks to Andy Blow and the entire Precision team for supporting the show.
Brett, any final thoughts from you here before we talk Snowdonia and JFK?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just all an opinion. Like whether I think it's interesting, whether someone else thinks it's not. We've said this before. I still am in the camp of I don't think there's an oversaturation of trail content out there on the internet. I think there's plenty. There could be more. There could be more content, and I would still consume it all. So, like, I want the interesting people to make stuff. I want the boring people to make stuff, and I will decide whether I think it's interesting or not. But I don't think it's a one or the other, like black or white. Of like, elite runners are boring. Non-elite runners are not boring.
I do think brands give influencers some pretty unreal opportunities. And like, there were a bunch of influencers invited to the Olympics. Like you didn't see, I'm thinking about like the Paris Games. Like you didn't see a bunch of trail runners and stuff going to the Paris Games with their brands. And it's just like there's certain areas where things can be better communicated and put out there by influencers. And if that means that an elite athlete's going to focus on their race, that's cool. But my final question on that, do we think Shackleton was an elite? Because like Shackleton's the best story ever.
Yeah.
So is he an influencer or an elite?
Here's what I think. I think life was so brutal in industrial England in the late 1800s that they were better off going to Antarctica and possibly suffering big time than hanging back home.
Wow.
So actually they copped out.
They ran away.
It would have been
They ran away.
They turned their back on the world when it got hard.
Harder staying at home. No one talks about that.
Yeah, you're right. Should write a book about that.
Okay. We talked about this a little bit with Alyssa Clark on this week's Single Track News, but apparently this news comes in pairs. It is registration/course change controversy coming from two totally different races, Ultra Trail Snowdonia, which is owned by UTMB and Ironman over in Wales, and the JFK 50, Say It Ain't So, independent race in Boonesboro, Maryland. Jeff, maybe pointing to you because you actually have a stake in this. You are registered for the Snowdonia 100K. Do you want to re-summarize the issue at hand here? And I can talk about JFK.
Yeah. I'll give the high level and then like the personal level. The high level is Snowdonia sells out early. It sold out in like October or so. The 100K is the marquee distance at that race. That 100K has like something like 18 or 19,000 feet of climbing in it. It's like meant to be pretty brutal and grueling. It's been on my radar since like living in the White Mountains and people kind of sharing like, yeah, this Snowdonia region like is reminiscent of New Hampshire's White Mountains, just like without trees. And so my friend Peter Howe wanted to go over, I think in like 2017, and I like dog-eared it as like Snowdonia would be really cool. I heard some rumors that like maybe the race might not happen. Like it was unclear what was going on, like hearing just some like, insider talk. And then they ended up releasing the course, and the course was changed dramatically from the previous year's course and what was published at time of registration. It now has 2,000 meters less elevation, almost all in the back 40 kilometers. So the first 60K is still quite mountainous. The final 40K is like pretty flat and fast. And yeah, I guess to add insult to injury, right before the courses were published, they actually opened more spots in terms of entries for 100K, and they sold more bibs and then released it. So like anyone who didn't get in October was like, oh my gosh, I might now have the opportunity to get in, gets in, sees that it's actually a different course. Personally, like I was trying to do mountainous races this year. So I've got Chianti 74K. That's like 10,000 feet of climbing or so next week. Then it would be Snowdonia, then San Juan Solstice, and then High Lonesome. And part of that plan was each one is, I think the final effort ends up being strength building, then more like muscle breakdown, muscle damage. If I was doing a fast 50K or a fast 100K in there, I think it would be a little different. This change to Snowdonia's back half now kind of puts me in this like, I'm not sure about recovery for that 4 weeks later for San Juan Solstice and doing another super mountainous run. As of right now, like all my travel's booked, my Airbnb's booked. I'm going with my college roommate. We're going to see a football match the weekend before. Like we've been really excited about this trip. Tom Evans is also signed up for that 100K, and there's no person I want to race more in this world than Tom Evans. So like
that's your dream matchup.
That's my dream matchup. Cool. I wanted it at Hard Rock and I didn't get into Hard Rock, but like I want to race Tom. Like so whether it's a little flatter or a little steeper, like I'm going to try to change my training and plans accordingly, but I do think it's likely, like sounds like it's not as scenic or beautiful or extreme of a race, and I likely will have to make a decision, more of an audible around San Juan Solstice based on recovery from Snowdonia. But yeah, definitely a bummer. Like this is all coming, like I probably have $8,000, $7,000 or so, like into all of this travel and stuff. But like I have a sponsor that's covering that. And I'm super freaking fortunate for that. Like if, I think back to like 2019 going to CCC and paying my own way there and stuff. Like if that had happened at that race and like, actually, we're not going to do this course, I would have been rip shit.
Yeah.
I'm still,
Yeah.
puckered.
Finn, can you give us a breakdown for JFK?
Do you want me to give you the UTMB perspective on Snowdonia first?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll talk JFK. Okay. So I had a phone call with Florian at UTMB earlier today because I do think the more we can just like incorporate both sides into it, just so that we have all the facts, the better. And basically the backdrop here is this event used to be owned by a local company called Apex Running. 4 years ago, UTMB acquired it. They've run it now for 4 years. Again, this is all Florian's perspective. Historically, both when it was under UTMB jurisdiction and Apex Running, all of the permits operated under oral commitments. It wasn't written like you would see here in the US. And so they've just sort of like taken the local land trusts and private landowners at their words going into each year. They open up registration back in July. In October, they have a meeting with all the local stakeholders, and the local stakeholders basically tell them, look, this year, you're going to need to reduce fields in both the 100-mile and 100K from 900 to 1,000 in each of those down to 300 each. So about 600 runners across those two distances. And they're like, okay. So they do that. And because of that, you see a huge wait list form, a huge buildup of people that want to run but can't get in because it's just a lower field this year. All of a sudden, a week or two ago, again, according to UTMB, they have another meeting with the local leaders, land trusts, et cetera. And they basically tell them, we told you 600 earlier, it's actually going to be 300. So use that number how you will. And what UTMB decided to do was maintain the 300 person field for the 100 mile and then make changes to the 100K. So that course changed, the 100 mile stayed the same. And because they changed the course, it opened up more permitting opportunity, and all the people that were stacked on that wait list from when registration opened in July, they were allowed to come in. And basically, UTMB saw that as an opportunity. I talked with Florian about this, and I was like, look, I'm a fellow race director. Do you see issue in like fundamentally changing a course and then not offering runners who signed up based on something that was advertised differently, the chance to refund or defer, whatever? And he basically said to me, like, we don't see it that way. All of these trail races, it's like inherent to the nature of trail running. It's subject to changes. That's just the reality. And we promise to provide a great experience based on the revised course. So I don't think that they agree that, there should be an opportunity to refund these runners. Like, you just have to kind of take it.
It does still seem a little shady though, that they're like, knowing the course is going to change, but then like clear the wait list and then announce it to everyone. Like, you'd think it would have been like an email that goes out to all the waitlisted people being like, you're about to get off the wait list. The course is going to change. Do you want to defer to a future year?
Yeah.
Take your refund, blah, blah, blah.
I agree.
But I guess that then comes down to just like ethics of a business and how they decide to run. Because I imagine
the ethics of business.
The ethics of business. That's what this podcast is all about. Finn, I know you love that stuff.
Business ethics. I think just saying that before opening up those spots would have been the right move. Personally, I think transparency, like clear is always kind. And it's like, hey, we're opening up more spots. This is the reason why. If you want to be off the wait list and register, you can.
Yeah. And I bet even if you gave that option, like say a refund, like if you're already entered into the race and it's like, this is a big, massive course change. We understand it might not be what you registered for. You can, we can refund you. Clearly we'll not give you your money back, but we'll give you like UTMB credit dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
UTMB credit, or even the option to bump down to the 50K, which is still super rowdy.
Yeah. I bet they still sell it out.
There's a cap on that one.
I bet they still sell it out just with different people. And then they don't look nearly as bad because, yeah, it does definitely feel a bit like it feels a little bit icky the way that this all played out for sure.
Yeah, so I was honestly, I was shooketh that there is no plan for refunds. I know in my position as a race director, if the rug was pulled out under us for a section of the Twisted Fork course or the Buffalo Run course, whatever, and it radically altered things and took away, for example, 33% of the vert on the 68K course, the first thing I would do is I would send an email to the runners and be like, look, like this is a fundamental change. If you want a refund or defer, I will not fault you. Go ahead and take it. That just seems like good business.
Yeah, I don't know. For the long term, that's how it seems. Maybe you rely more on returning customers than UTMB does. I don't know. Maybe they're in the market of like, yeah, we can afford to just let all these people be one and done, and then move on to the next crop of people that see, an Instagram reel about this race and decide they want to go do it. I don't know, but yeah, that is a bummer, especially like from your standpoint too, Jeff, of like it changes, it kind of alters the next bit of your racing season because of the physical demands of the last like 40K. You say 40K or 40 miles?
40K.
40K.
But it is funny. It's like, oh, if it was harder, then it would have less damage on me. But because it's flatter, it's going to have more damage on me, which is probably going to impact me more, which like there's a ton of truth to. But
I'll say this. I think as a fellow event director, I feel UTMB's pain being told back in the fall that they were going to get this permit, and then they kind of handshook on it. And then at this hour, 2 months before the race, they are told something totally different and have to make this change.
Yeah,
so that's a bummer. That is a bummer.
I wonder why. Like,
I don't know.
Why now all of a sudden there's pushback to, like, did the fields grow a ton from 4 years ago to now, or have they been about this size?
Apparently, Florim's saying they've been trying to increase the fields by 100 to 200 each year.
So maybe they're just going back to like 2019 sizes?
Maybe. And then I've also heard that there's been difficulty with aid stations in some of the affected regions in the past, like getting supplies out there, staffing, et cetera. So I think it's complicated.
Yeah. And there's definitely a sweet spot always for like race capacity.
Totally.
For some of these races where it's like Pine to Palm 100, RIP Pine to Palm, they could have had 500 runners like permitted for it. But like from an aid station crew logistics standpoint, no, you just don't do that because it would be a nightmare.
I was
so maybe
just thinking back to Bandera 2019. The race director, Chris McWaters, had to literally change the entire
I think I ran that one
course.
I remember that.
At the Christian camp.
Yeah, to the week before to Camp Eagle. Like it was like 100 miles away. It was
a long
anywhere.
drive.
It wasn't close to Hill Country State Park type deal. And I think he went about that in like it was a very real issue. I don't remember honestly if it was like horses or
it was flooding.
At
the main parking lot area was just underwater.
Yeah. But for them to pull that off and like move that whole race in literally like a week's time was a wild thing. And like I had chose that race because the year before I'd gone to it and I like knew the course and I was like, this is good. I'm going to get a golden ticket if I go back to the course I know and like try to hammer there. And like, yeah, we deal with adversity. We deal with things as they change. Like it's not always in the race's control. I do think in both the case of JFK and Snowdonia here, like transparency and like updates as it's going. Even like we're trying to figure this out. Like we're going to try to offer some options to runners. I was looking for that email from Chris McWaters to see if he actually offered credit because I think he did. But that's a different scale race. Tejas Trails puts on awesome events, but it was another time. Like having a week to pivot is very different from having 2 months. But
you think there'd be the same amount of like internet blowback if Snowdonia announced that the course changes added 2,000 more meters of climbing?
That's what happened at UTMB Nice last year.
They added, the course got harder.
They added vert, but no one complains about more vert. right?
I think that's just kind of funny how it's like you can always give vert, but as soon as you take it away, there's a mutiny.
That is pretty, yeah, true.
Because that Bandera year, the course got a lot harder.
I think you'll appreciate this. The one email I did find from January 9th, 2019, so the week after Bandera, I got third at that race, so I did not get a golden ticket, was an email that I sent to Brian Powell inquiring that if he was going to potentially need any additional on-the-ground help at Western States because I had failed at my goal of getting a golden ticket. I didn't have another opportunity to try with my job, and I really wanted to be there.
I'm really good at tweeting.
Wait, were you on the ground doing Ira and Far coverage?
No, Brian let me down soft. He was like, thanks, Jeff, but I don't need you.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Little did he know the career that you would develop.
That was the turning point.
Okay, I'll quickly summarize the JFK situation. Basically, since forever, JFK has been collecting hotel tax revenue from the county to help fund their police force and medical teams on race day. Last fall, the county informs JFK that revenue stream is no longer going to be available to you. You have to fund that budget shortfall elsewhere via race registration increases, whatever. So they know this information 6 months before race registration opens March 1st. That information is not disclosed on their website to the public. And they go ahead and open race registration. They get about 1,000 entries. And then a week into registration being opened, this article breaks about that news. And the JFK race directing team is openly threatening to move the race from Washington County to Frederick County. Totally, talk about 100% altering the course. Different course. So another example, albeit from an independent race, not a corporate race, of selling runners on a very historic course and then calling that entirely into question shortly after the fact.
So it must be a very large sum of money where they couldn't add it to like race entry fees.
It's $30,000.
It's $30 grand.
$30
I think which they have 1,000 entries so far. It would come out to like a $30 increase per runner if they wanted to fund it that way.
They could have done
or
that.
Or they could eat the margin.
They
could. A lot of companies did that with tariffs, right? Put 7% on the consumer and 8% on the company or whatnot. I think the funny thing about this whole hotel tax revenue thing is like it was always planned to go away. It was like just to help a company get its foothold in the region. You know, this article that you shared, Finn, I was like reading through, and it's like it's pretty clear. It was like, hey, this is a gesture to help businesses get established, and like JFK is established. It seems like it helped them. You know, it's something that they've had at their back for as many years as they've been, you know, organizing the event or whatnot.
So is this just like negligent, like poor planning then of being like, oh, whoa, this is the year? Uh-oh.
Maybe it says here, this is coming from we said Washington County. Yeah. But it says HRT program is intended to provide temporary assistance to help events establish long-term sustainability. And fiscal year 25 represented the final year of the HRT support for the race.
Hasn't JFK been around for like a long time?
It was known it was going to happen, and it happened.
So here's what I wonder. I wonder if JFK has ever commissioned a report that indicates their impact on tourism to the region. I wonder if they know the numbers that they basically bring in each year on the event, and they're using that as a bargaining chip. And it's like, you're asking, like, we've done this, like, here's the ROI of this event to the county, and we are so powerful and established, we're going to basically threaten to go. And I wonder if they expect the county to be like, okay, never mind, like, we'll cave.
Bluff. It's the Frederick County bluff.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, the
county's like, if you weren't so damn good.
But like their response is like, we really appreciate everything you've done, and like we outlined this very clearly, and this is like what we had budgeted for. So,
and there's been no like, hey, person who registered for JFK, we might move the course to something completely different. If you want a refund, we'll give you a refund. Or is it kind of like Snowdonia, where they have no intention of giving any money back to its registrants.
Well, yeah, and then the JFK policy on the website is no refunds, no deferrals.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't even give like a pregnancy deferral last year.
No.
I mean, there was like a whole thing about that.
So this seems more egregious than Snowdonia to me.
I mean, that JFK course has been around for.
You know what's funny in all of our conversation around like times versus competition? JFK is just one of the course that like I actually think time is more relevant.
Yeah, that one's
Talk to me about like the courses. Give me your top 3 courses where you're like time's relevant. JFK and Western States are there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's like JFK has very much been I mean, it's competitive, but it's been a time trial type course as well. I mean, it's largely a road race. Still an ultramarathon, but yeah, that would be a pretty big bummer. Like, I would be bummed because I don't know what a lot of the reasons for why someone would sign up for JFK. For me, it would be to see how I can do on that course because it's been around for so long and it's got like such a, history list of, finishers where I'd like,
dude, I think it's your course.
That aside, it's just more like I want to see where how I could do on that one. But then if they were like, we're moving to somewhere else, I'm like, I already don't know where in America this is because I live in Southern Oregon. You move it somewhere else, I'm like, what did I even go there for? Like, come on now.
So
we when we do the crowdfunding event for the Backyard Ultra, we can just tack on do you also want to contribute to the JFK $30,000 fund to keep it in Washington County?
Yeah. Dude, when Jamil Aravaipa Mountain Outpost, just like snap of the fingers, it's taken care of. Look at that. JFK presented by Aravaipa Running.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to push the Sally McRae segment to the end because I want to make sure we get some of these. Okay, so we have a new segment. It's called Overreaction, Underreaction. I am going to read a statement, starting with you, Brett, and then, well, alternate. So, Brett, you first on this one. Jeff, you first on the next one. But overreaction, underreaction. First one here. Molly Seidel is immediately a 2026 Western States podium contender. Brett.
I mean, I furiously typed on my keyboard. No.
Underreaction.
So I don't understand overreaction, underreaction.
Well, think over under. The statement is
I say
Molly is.
under.
Are you saying totally like I'm over on that or I'm under on that?
No, I'm under.
Underreaction's like, of course, like I think so.
Oh, okay.
See,
and overreaction's like, oh, that's crazy. Like, come on now.
Okay, I wrote overreaction, being like, no, she's not immediately a 2026 Western States podium contender because she got 4th in a race when the 3 in front of her are also running Western States.
Okay. Have the 3 in front of her ever won Foot Lockers or NCAAs or gotten an Olympic medal?
No, but some of them have done some pretty good things in the trails.
For sure. I know. I stand by, like, I think this, like, there's like, oh, Molly's like new to the trails, like, especially in like what is the value of Molly Seidel? And I'm like, well, you need to ask, like, what is the value of someone who's been the best in the world at every level of their career?
Yeah. I also wrote, I think she's in the conversation for the podium, but I don't think she's a lock. Like, I think her range, like, for someone, someone like, we'll use like Abby Hall, for example. I think like good day, bad day are like pretty small together. Molly's like good day and bad day are really far apart right now.
Okay.
Like just from an experience level, but it's like, could Molly win Western States? Absolutely. Could Molly stop at the first aid station? Could happen too.
Yeah, I think it's I'm in agreement with Brett on this one. In general, I think Molly has a really, really good scaffolding and support system around her, and it's cool to see. how she fared at Black Canyon, I think Molly Seidel will be a future Western States champion. I don't think that the 2026 Western States is a lock by any means.
Okay. I still think her micro fade at Black Canyon was the most impressive thing I saw all day.
It was very good. I also agree with that. And that's what keeps her in the conversation for the podium for me, but not a lock, because you can't make that mistake 25 miles into Western States because it's 100 miles and not 60.
Next up, if Jen Lichter wins Western States this year, she is immediately in the highest echelon of female ultra runners in our sport. Jeff.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's I think the reason is like she's already incredibly dominant at the 50K and under distance. For her to be able to spread that dominance to the 100K and then in sequence to the 100-mile, not dissimilar to Hayden, not dissimilar to like Francesco in some ways. You know, we haven't seen him run the 100-mile yet, but like I would put her immediately in that upper echelon. Far too early. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I also like I'm not one to bet against Jen. Like she was my lock pick for Black Canyon for sure.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff, with what you said. A question that I had. So are we talking like current day, like world trail dominance rankings? Like
Current.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. If we were talking like if they all retired at the end of this year, where do they rank? You know,
Different.
I think like that's different. But if Jen wins Western States this year, like currently, then she gets thrown straight into that echelon, 100%.
Right back to you. Crowdfunded prize purse amounts will surpass event-sponsored purse amounts at major trail races by 2028.
I think. Well, for the mountain out for the Aravaipa races, I think you're right.
It has to.
But I hope they don't, and here's why. I hope they become more of a mutual thing. So, for Black Canyon, I forget what the amount was, but Aravaipa matched the crowdfunded amount up to a certain dollar point. I would love
it up to $5,000.
Up to $5,000.
16,000 were raised.
Yeah, so I would love to see like Aravaipa match the first 5,000, Ultra match the next 5,000 because they have Tara Dower racing, and they're like, yeah, we'll match the next 5 because we want to, and like it'll get shown on the ticker on the live stream too that like Hoka or like Ultra's matching this. Hoka matches the next 5. Solomon matches next 5. Like I want to see brands pony up the same amount that, fans of the sport are.
Yeah, I thought
at least 1-to-1.
A bold move for ACG to just pop in there for the Hoka race and drop 15K or something like that.
Yeah, especially with like 5 minutes to go, you can still do that. ACG is just like, yeah, we'll match it.
I think there's some like curiousness of like, all right, were there any unsponsored runners in the top on the podium?
Jordan Bramblett.
He wasn't on the podium.
Molly Seidel.
Well, no, but he took a ticket. And Molly Seidel.
Molly's
Seidel
a good
too.
example, right? If like Satisfy just put 10K in there, like hinting of like, we like, the one unsponsored athlete, like we're keen on working with her. It's like kind of showing some cards there. Like for Western States, that's like,
what's it gonna?
That's a guarantee, right? Like,
is this gonna happen at Western States? The crowd.
I hope it happens at Western States. I really do hope it happens at Western States.
What do you think the winner takes home? What's your number? Or way too early number. What does the winner take home at Western States?
What was the live stream viewership last year? Did it eclipse 1 million? Can you check on YouTube really quick? Like for day one stream? For day one stream? Because that'll help with my multiplier, but I believe that the live stream is going to conservatively 2x this year. So addressable market, and if we compare it against the stream at Black Canyon, just do a multiplier there. I mean, if Black Canyon got 17,000 off of a...
Understand, like, you had to pay attention to the live stream to understand that this was going on. So
yeah,
like
and actually,
there has been as much talk about this since it happened
totally.
that like more people are aware of it. I think like
Mhm.
going forward on live streams, be that Cocodona, be that Western States, be that other races, I
Totally.
think more people are going to be aware of it.
And
Yeah.
I told Jamil, I was like, you can actually track, like when AJW and Chris Warden were talking about it in those first 2 hours, the pot was growing so fast. And then the talk about it tapered off and the pot kind of tapered.
Mm,
So I think if Dylan and Corinne can keep talking about it from start to finish at intervals,
yeah.
it'll really go.
I think Western States had about 5x the viewers of Black Canyon.
Okay. And I think
Yeah,
it's going to
I was
2x
going to
up.
say ballpark. I think the winner from Western States walks with $12K from the crowdfunded purse, but that depends on how they want to choose that purse, because I would argue that Western States should trickle down to 5, or maybe
Should have trickled down to 10.
10.
10 would be cool.
Ninth place gets $100. 10th place just gets an invite back.
They get the entry paid.
No,
Wait.
you have to pay for that.
Do top 10, do you have to pay for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get an invite back to next year, you
Yeah.
have to pay for it. It's not paid for.
Not that I have experience, but yes.
I
Yes.
have experience.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what it should be. 10th should at least get their entry paid.
Yeah,
Is
I
in
like
form
that.
of like an ultra sign up gift card,
Yeah.
not cash. They got to take it. Oh shoot, I lost my notes. I think it's going to be bigger. I think where
I do
these
too.
crowdfunded price purse, I think where it's going to really blow up and show off is going to be a Cocodona this year. Like we're talking like 60 hours before the winner comes in.
It's a good question, because like
Dude,
there's a world in which Cocodona ends up being the biggest prize purse of the year of any event, and it's like strictly crowdfunded.
I think the
biggest prize,
winner-
maybe.
This is my take. I think the winner of Cocodona is taking home 30 G's.
Love it. So more.
Yeah. I think winner of Cocodona is taking home 30 grand. Well, but I could also see the winner of Western States taking home that much as well. Like I could see it being in that $20,000 to $30,000 range, which that would be, oh man, that would be something.
Throwing this one to you, Jeff, first. In his age 38, I believe 20th season of ultrarunning, can Killian Jornet still win both Western States and UTMB in the same season?
No doubt, dog. I've been saying this all year. I think Killian and Jim both good. Like I don't even think it's like if, I think it's a when. And I know Killian's already done it. I think he'll do it again.
If Killian
I
beats a
think for
fresh,
him,
let me ask
I
you
think
this.
for him it's going to be harder to win Western States.
Okay. But how about this? Okay, let's assume Killian wins Western. And if he wins UTMB but beats like a fresh Penn Demon or a fresh Jim, do those two guys just have to retire from the sport?
No, but like
It's just Killian.
Killian
gets to do
got
Killian things.
stronger. Killian got stronger from his states of elevation. Like, bless
Yes, that's
that
what
man.
it is.
Bless that man for like being able to contribute himself wholeheartedly to this pursuit in excellence. And like, I love being a spectator to it and getting to experience it. If Killian wins Western States, there's no doubt in my mind he can recover and win UTMB.
Yeah.
And if he wants to do the all-time triple, recover and win Grand Reunion, there are runners who I think they know what it takes to win both of those events, and that's why I put specifically Jim and Killian in this boat. Like they know what both races calls for. I actually think Jim could probably win Western States, quote unquote, easier than anyone else, if he's smart about it. And then I think UTMB has proven to be more of a mammoth for him than States.
Yeah,
but
I agree with
this
that.
is my prediction for the year, that the men's winner is going to win both. And I think I stand by it.
I like that. And I'm continually because there's been a couple like blogs that Killian has come out with, talking about Western States. And I'm amazed at how much sleep he seems to have lost about Western States last year, and how fired up he is to come back and be like, oh yeah, I he was sick. He made some mistakes. He's like, I got some things to iron out. And I want to fix that. And I want, 2026 to be the year of racing. It's like, oh man, 2025, woke up the beast of Killian being oh dude.
This is not at all Jeff McGavro closed even spread. We were with Killian at 90 miles with 10 miles to go. And Killian beat Jeff by 11 minutes. Killian closed that race so hard.
Yeah.
And I think he thought that people were going to come back to him. And, he and Jeff had been battling for 60 kilometers. So it wasn't like Jeff came back to him. Like we started at Green Gate, the four of us kind of all together.
Yeah.
So I really thought he was going to, or I think he thought he was going to catch Chris or Caleb. And
yeah, he just made a tactical error early on. And I'm sure he's looking back on it, just being like, yep, I should have won that race.
I should have gone earlier.
Yeah.
Now I have to go back and do it again, and then win Sierras and all, and then win UTMB. I had this reaction in 2022. Killian had his best season ever. I'm pretty sure it was 2022. And I was like, this is so crazy that 11 years after he wins Western States, he has his best season ever. And then every year since, I've been like, actually, nothing's crazy. I expect Killian to have his best season ever next season.
He will forever be one of one.
Yeah. One comment from me. If you look back at one of the so when he won the double in 2011, Western and UTMB, he, from what I can tell in UTMB and Ultra Signup, raced at least 9 times that year. In 26, he's only racing 3 times. Sears and all, along with Western UTMB. So that's interesting. Racing at least 66% less, or 3 times less.
He doesn't need rust busters anymore.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does the VK at Broken Arrow again.
Except
I wouldn't be surprised if he throws a VK in going into Western States. But
I would just, in this era where some pros are specializing, I just think it would be a really tough pill to swallow if someone beats you fresh on the second half of their double. That's tough.
I mean, they're just trying to, you're just making excuses at that point, being like, oh, you got to be fresh for this. You're this type of athlete. That's like Killian. Running's running,
If there were anyone that had the years and accumulative hours of training log that Killian had, I feel like they could be bummed about that. But there isn't.
Yeah.
No one's to the stage of career that Killian's at and saying that.
Yeah.
But isn't that much, again, we use the term mileage and isn't that many minutes played or mileage typically, or it can be a liability?
It can be, but I do think experience is the greatest. That's why I think Molly Seidel will win Western States. I don't think it'll be this year. I think experience when it comes to these 100-mile races is most everything. And once you get a grip of it and understand a little bit more, things come more naturally. It takes winning 3,500s for Jeff Browning to realize he can come back from being 5 hours down and actually respond and, come back to podium or whatever it is, these phenomenal, back to life, experiences we've seen, these really tenured 100-mile runners have is because they know it. They're our bodies are so much more capable than we think they are. It's going to respond. Things will be all right. I just need to embrace the suck for the next couple hours. I don't know. That's and I hear you. If, for the folks focusing on UTMB, if Killian comes back from winning Western States and beats them at UTMB, I just think it should be inspiring.
And if someone fresh beats Killian at UTMB for the win, I will not ever utter, oh, well, Killian was tired because he ran Western States. If someone beats Killian at UTMB this year, after Killian wins Western States, it's a fair fight. He is recovered.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. And if anyone out there says that in the comments, I'll fight them with my keyboard.
I want it to happen. I'm manifesting it.
Yeah. Yeah. You've seen that. What's the movie where they curve the bullets?
Matrix?
Wanted?
No.
Is it called Wanted?
Is that no?
Angelina Jolie's in it, and
And Brad Pitt?
Morgan Freeman's in it. Anyways, at the very beginning of the movie, the dude just like slaps his boss with a keyboard. That was all I was thinking about.
Seems like the movie you're talking about.
Wanted.
That's what I said.
Okay, Wanted. Yeah,
That's
No,
a great movie.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Brett, coming back to you here.
All right.
Overreaction, underreaction. This is our last one, by the way. Golden ticket races are now harder to win than Western states.
Absolutely not. There's too much. There's still more pressure at Western states to win and perform, and like you still get the people who win the golden ticket races not winning Western states.
I think like Finn, last year Abby did not win a golden ticket race, but she won Western states, right? My far too early pick to win Western states this year on the women's side is Ann Flower. She did not win at Black Canyon, but Abby and Ann are like really well suited for the Western states course. Are they better suited for that course than Black Canyon? Like I would argue yes. I don't think that golden tickets or golden ticket races are harder to win than Western states. I would actually still go ahead and say, against popular opinion, it's easier to get a golden ticket than it is to get a returning top 10 to Western states.
Okay.
I think that's a great take.
And like maybe it's year to year, but
Yeah.
like
maybe we should ask a lot of people who've won golden ticket races.
was it easier winning
and won Western states? Yeah, how many people have won a golden ticket race and Western states? Which one was harder to win? Yeah, it's not that many people.
And I go back to like, right, Tom Evans was second at Black Canyon, won Western states. That like the Western states is going to suit some runners better than others.
Yeah. And like
I'm psyched to see Will Murray because I think Will Murray can win golden ticket races and I think he could win Western states. Like, did Killian, I guess he's coming back from a top 10, but like, yeah,
I think a lot of these like top tier pros that didn't win, a golden ticket race, but then won Western states were also like assuming they were going to get a ticket. And then the A goal for the whole training block was Western states. So like, I feel like Tom was fitter at Western states than he was at Black Canyon. And also Western states probably suits him as a course better than Black Canyon. So it was like a compounding level of things, but I still think it's harder to win Western states. Even courses aside, just the pressure.
This was this prompt was generated in our text thread yesterday. Basically, it's a matchup wish list. Either anticipated, like it's on paper already for this year, and you're looking forward to just watching it as a fan of the sport, or like if you could create a matchup based on active pro ultra runners out there, like so you could go in either directions. Brett, who's your idealized matchup for 26?
I mean, I would say it exists, and it's Katie versus Courtney at Hard Rock. Like that's been one that I've thought about for ever since the first year I commentated at Hard Rock, because like I've gotten to see Courtney win it in person, and I've gotten to see Katie win it in person, and them like flip-flopping course records. They're both still running really well. It's like that sort of, and then they both end up on the star list. It's like, man, that sort of opportunity just doesn't happen very often. So that's one of the really big ones.
I like it.
Yeah.
I really wish we'd gotten to see Jen Lichter and Katie at Worlds in the 50 mile.
I think that would have been really good.
I think that would have been so sweet. Katie had an incredibly dominant performance, but I think we all felt like Jen was very strong going into that one and is still very strong. Bummed she missed that. I think Katie at Western States with this year's field and Ann Flower in that race. And Jen Lichter in that race, and I think it would be a better matchup. I think we all waited and have been waiting for the Katie Courtney rematch, and like Courtney proves me wrong, and she'll continue to prove me wrong. But like I'll say, like I think right now I'm more confident in Katie winning Hard Rock than Katie lining up to that Western States field and having a easy win.
Finn, what course would you like to see Katie and Courtney race against each other on the most?
That's a fantastic question. I think probably Hard Rock.
Yeah, Hard Rock for those two. Yeah,
I think it's the best meeting place to like equalize things at the respective stages of their careers.
I like them. I like the Hard Rock course as a matchup. It also feels, like it almost feels like there's more spotlight on it because it's like, I mean, like Tara Dower is definitely a big wild card in that field as well.
But kind of because it's like a one-on-one race.
Yeah,
Is that what you're
it's
saying?
that Charlie Lawrence effect sort of thing.
The elevation factor at Hard Rock is like, I just know talking to Katie and Germain last year, the altitude like was super hard to adjust to. And Courtney just lives at that altitude. So, that might be lending a favor in her direction there. And, I think if you were to look at Western States, Grand Raid, UTMB, and Hard Rock, like, is Hard Rock the race where it'll be closest? I think the answer is yeah. I think that's where like they're maybe the most even.
Okay. This one, I feel like this matchup doesn't get talked up enough, or maybe it doesn't. I'm not paying attention, but I want to see Katie and Ruth, and I want to see a rematch at UTMB. So obviously Katie took the win there in 24, beat Ruth. I think it was like 35, 40 minutes. If you go way back in their careers, I think Ruth has Katie at Zagama, and I think it was Templier maybe. But I don't know. I feel like they're, yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but that matchup almost intrigues me more right now than Katie versus Courtney.
That is a great one because, that year Katie was, I think, what was it? Her knee was starting to go on that final descent, and Ruth went out way too conservative and was just raging the second half, especially the last 50K. So it's like, I'm sure Ruth wanted to do over there, and then when she got it, she won. Yeah, that would be a very dynamic matchup as well, especially because like it seems like Ruth's really finding the long mountain legs right now.
Yeah. I think on the men's side, I think seeing a showdown between Francesco, Killian, and Jim at Western States would be like fascinating.
It would be amazing.
Last year's Western States was amazing. I really don't want anyone to try to do this whole Unbreakable 2 thing again and jinx it. But the men's field is shaping up to be incredibly strong. And that's runners like Hans Troyer proving how like mature they've gotten and how much stronger he is. If Francesco didn't dislocate his shoulder or hurt himself at Black Canyon, like, does he actually beat Hans? Like, yeah, maybe. Hard saying. Like, these are the what ifs of the early days of long run archives. But
yeah,
Francesco and Jim and Killian all at Western States would be a real treat. Throw a couple other guys in there like Hayden and Hans and Jeff McGavro and
Will Murray.
Yeah,
Dude. Oh man.
As an aside, I highly recommend everyone go watch Francesco's latest vlog on his YouTube channel, which provides a really interesting backstory on just how he trains, philosophy, all that stuff. One of the takeaways, he's had the same coach since the Italian equivalent of high school.
That's wild to have someone be able to like successfully coach you through so many different events.
It's almost 20 years.
800 meters to then running 100 kilometers.
And then training for 100 miles.
Yeah. And the coach, I mean, there's many quotes in the vlog, but one of the comments that the coach has is like, Francesco's VO2 max is 70. He has basically not an elite VO2 max, but he is elite at using like the highest fraction of it possible. And there are
That's
people
how
that
I
have
knew he
higher.
was his coach for a long time, because his coach was just like, oh yeah, on paper he's not very good, but he's very good.
Totally. But yeah, but basically the coach is like, Francesco outperforms people that are better than him because he is a more strategic worker, you know?
Yeah.
Really cool.
That's super cool.
So I feel like we have time either for a mystery topic, a content find. I don't know. What do you guys want to do?
I've got I guess as a content find instead of a mystery, or / best thing I found on the internet this week. And it was because, Finn, it was because you ran the LA Marathon that I got to watch this. So I found on, like NBC4, NBC5, whatever the LA news station was, they were putting on the LA Marathon, and it was available for free to watch on the LA Marathon website, which was awesome. So I just started watching the race. I mean, I didn't see you. I was watching your tracker, but then I was like, well, I might as well just watch the marathon since it's here. And the men's finish was insane. I forget the name of the guy who ended up getting second, but he was off the front early. And I think at halfway, he was like 4 minutes up, because other thing that the LA Marathon did that was really cool. So they staggered the men's and women's starts by a certain amount of time. I forget exactly what it was, but it was
like
staggered.
A couple minutes.
It was staggered. Yeah, it was I don't know if it was the differentials in the course records or what, but it was staggered in a way where it gave equal opportunity for the first person to cross the finish line, man or woman, got an extra $10,000 bonus. So it incentivized going out like pretty recklessly. And on the women's and the men's side, one person from each field did that. And it made for these like massive fades. And on the men's side, the guy who was leading all day, he got out-leaned at the finish line, and he lost by 0.1 to Nathan Martin. But then right after that, a video on Instagram started going viral because the lead male, with like 200 meters to go, follows the lead cars who were pulling off to the side of the course because they were clearing room, because you can like see the finish line. He follows them, and he goes to the other side of the barriers for like,
Couple seconds,
enough for everyone would be like, whoa, no, you got to go on this side. So he stops and turns around, and then he gets out-leaned. And it was like, all the comments are like, where's the crowd control? What's going on? Like, how did this happen? Because there was also a fan running next to him with like a Kenyan flag that maybe distracted him, that caused him to go that way. I don't know about that, but all the comments are like, what the hell's going on here? I wonder if he's getting out-leaned either way.
He must have. I suspect, because he looked pretty out of it at the finish. I wonder if
he was
his
on the
mind
ground
already
for
went
a long time.
on the ground for a while, and I wonder if like that is I think it's a different situation than the U.S. half marathon champs, where like that was so egregious with what the race camera officials and whatnot did. But this was more like, I mean, the car typically does that in all marathons, right? That are televised, where like they pull off last minute. So like as a runner, that's your obligation to know that. And I think he must have just been so in the pain cave. So,
I think he was that spent
that he just made an error.
Yeah.
It did seem like the flag didn't help.
Definitely didn't help.
The woman with the flag like blocked his vision enough to not see the chute in front of him and to follow the car. But yeah, but it was just, oh man, so dramatic, that entire finish. I was like watching it. The commentators had no idea that Nathan was coming up on him because he was so far back, even with 200 meters to go. But if anyone just goes on YouTube and just types in LA Marathon finish, like that's what's going to come up now. And I would go watch it because it's just nuts. But where I'm going with this was that the LA Marathon in the last few years, from a competitive standpoint, has increased quite dramatically. Like the elite fields have gotten quite good, but there hasn't been like quite the crowd control in the final mile or whatever that some of the bigger like marathon majors have. And that just got me thinking, like, do you ever get nervous watching like UTMB and the amount of fans that are like climbing
or descending with some of the runners towards the finish. And it's like,
Oh yeah. La Flégère for sure.
Like how, like it's only a matter of time before someone really gets in the way and like, makes someone trip at like mile 95 or something and screw something up. But it's like, where are we with having like more crowd control in some of these sections of races, which there's pros and cons to that.
Dude, we're going to see it this year at UTMB, but you're going to be blown away. Like at Valourcine, at La Flégère, it's you're mobbed. It's crazy. Like these runners, I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. This is a great example.
That there's not like barriers.
Yeah. So that's a good one.
Brent, have you been to
No.
UTMB before?
This will be my first time.
Okay. I was trying to understand the context with which Finn was saying that. Yeah, Gorge de la Notre Dame at UTMB is like, it's truly horrifying as a runner or spectator. I think some people might also describe it as like really special and empowering.
It's a gauntlet.
And
It's a
Yeah, like I've seen the
It's a
videos and I'm
gauntlet.
like, this looks amazing. But at
It's
the same
like right
time,
back to, hazing in college.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's stop talking about traumas.
It's how I'm going to be good at backyard ultras. Come on, Finn.
Gotta make the Olympics.
Was that the question of like,
Yeah, like, do you think
when is that
road
happening? Because I was trying to think of
control.
acute examples of when that has happened.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I remember the last time Courtney won UTMB, like when she was going up the last climb and descending the final descent, there was like, it looked like straight out of Forrest Gump, where there was like 300 people running with her. Because like at that, like, you can keep up with an ultra runner at the end of UTMB. But it was like, I was just sitting there watching the live stream being like, dude, if some idiot isn't paying attention and like knocks one of Courtney's feet, I'm gonna be so mad, because she was like starting to blow up too. I was like, I can't believe there aren't officials being like, do not run with the runners.
I also kind of remember there being some questioning of Germont Granger was dressed in like a American flag like suit at World Championships, like out on the course cheering and stuff. And of like, is he like because they're strict rules around people on course and like interference and stuff at Worlds, of like, is Jarmont like trying to sabotage the US by dressing in red, white, and blue, like
illegal
stars and
pacing?
stripes? Yeah. I don't think that's ever his intent. But
I'm going to end us on this. This is a little bit of breaking news. It happened, I think, on Instagram a few days ago, but Sally McRae announced that she is leaving Nike and is actively courting new sponsors. I'm guessing like a new shoe deal, and she's in the process of trialing shoes. This is wild because this is an aside a little bit, but I was on a work trip to San Francisco last fall, and I stopped in an SF Running Company, and at SF Run Co, they have a poster of the 2014 Nike Trail Team. And I remember being there at the store, looking at it and being like, that is amazing. And commenting that, like, of all the people, Zach Miller, Tim Tollefson, Vargo, Laney, Gelfie, go down the list, the only person left 12 years on was Sally. And she was the last person to leave like that hallmark team in our sport. So I don't know if there's a question or a comment there.
It's over.
It's over. That era is officially bookended like today.
I hadn't thought about that part until you just said that. That's wow. Now that's kind of a big deal, because I was looking at it. I was looking at it in terms of like today, and I'm like, Sally's so good at what she does and like the lane that she's carved out in this sport that I wouldn't be surprised if it was her decision to part ways with Nike, and not that they like couldn't come to an agreement or something like that. Like, I think she could have stayed with Nike for however long she wanted, and she would still be a great brand ambassador for Nike, and be able to do great things with them. I also believe that Sally could go run for another brand or not, and just be independent and have full freedom to do anything she wants. I saw her most recent Instagram post. She said like 13 shoe brands has already reached out to her. So I feel like she's got the momentum right now. But wow, yeah, end of the Pat Werhane Moneyball Nike Trail era.
I will always think of Sally as like in a yellow Nike tank top. I don't even know if their picture is real. It's just in my mind of like that's Sally McRae. The like what's next? Like Sally's one of the fan favorites where like not that anyone can just like start a shoe company or start an apparel company, but like Sally kind of could pull it off. Be that a apparel company or like wanting to like really partner with a brand in like an equity
like
equity
a full
way.
line of Choose Strong. Oh, for sure. 100%.
I mean, she is like, yeah, she's beloved and has a huge reach. I think like seeing Killian do that from Solomon, like little different in terms of his chops with being pretty product and performance focused and whatnot. But you know, brands are built in so many ways on social capital, and Sally has that coming out of her ears.
Yeah, this will be a fun one to follow.
Yeah, definitely. It's also like the Jeff Browning, you know, landing at Keen and like getting to shape the culture of that brand. Like Sally could very well land at a brand and get to be kind of that like mentor figure and have more of an impact, have more of a shape. So,
guys, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much. And yeah, it was a 6-week-ish hiatus of the Long Run Archives, but we're back. Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Jeff.